Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Taking Your Next Step podcast from Collegians for Christ. Through each episode, we will journey together focusing on knowing what you believe and why you believe it. If you are eager, like I am, to strengthen your faith and take your next step now by joining us in today's episode. We're continuing our study in the Sermon on the Mount, and we're looking at this idea or the teaching here about influence. Jesus tells us we're to be salt. That is a preserving agent, an agent that flavors. And so you and I are to influence others just as salt would influence its object. He goes on to tell us that we are to be light. We're going to look at that today on this study, that what it means to be light and how we can hide our light and so forth and what that looks like. But you and I are called to influence other people. We have to be intentional with this. We have to make sure we're going outside the church doors to influence others. We've talked about the fact that ministry doesn't just occur within the doors of the church. Plenty of ministry should go on there, but God never commanded sinners to come to church. He did command you and I as believers to go outside the doors of the church and to reach those that are lost, to reach the sinners. And so you and I have a command. And so the bulk of our ministry must go on outside the doors of the church. Now, where does this ministry happen? We are huge proponents of vocational ministry. What I mean by that, not everybody's called into full-time ministry. I hope you understand that. If you are a believer, you're called into full-time ministry. There are just various ways that people will be supported as far as how you're going to pay your bills, you're going to put food on the table. Some it's going to be through being a police officer. Some it's going to be through being a doctor. Some it's going to be through working at a bank. Some it's going to be, they're going to be a pastor. Some are going to be a youth pastor. Some are going to be a school teacher. And I can go down the list. And so we're all called into full-time ministry. Sometimes we look at the pastor or the church staff worker and say, well, they're called into full-time ministry, but I'm not. I would disagree with that heavily. We're all called into ministry. The Bible clearly teaches that. The command to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature is given to each individual Christian, not just those who maybe are a pastor or a missionary or so forth. And so when I say vocational ministry, I'm talking about wherever God has placed you within your career field, that is your ministry. If you are a school teacher, then your class and your school is your ministry and your mission field. If you work at a bank, then the people that you work with, your coworkers and the customers who come into that bank, that is your ministry and your mission field. If you are a welder and the people you work with in a shop and the people that you interact with within the community, those are your people that you're to minister to. That is your mission field. And so if God has you studying right now, your class, your dorm, that is your mission field. The people within that are your ministry. And so stop looking at ministry just as confined to the church or just to the people who work for the church. No, vocational ministry is where you're called to. And so utilize the gift and the calling that God's given you, but utilize that area, that platform. Realize you are to be there to influence others. And Jesus gives us the instructions. We're to influence others as salt and influence others as light. We understand as salt, you and I have to get next to whoever or whatever we're trying to influence. We have to rub shoulders. So we have to get out into the world. What better place to do that than within your vocation? And so Jesus says, look, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. And it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So as you think about you're the light of the world, light is just a natural agent that stimulates sight. It makes things visible. I mean, light's intended to illuminate and give light to others. It's help you to see where you're going. Imagine driving a car. Cut your lights off when you're driving your car in the middle of the dark and you can't see. Cut them on and you can see where you're going. And so we understand light is best seen in darkness, but you and I are called children of light. Ephesians 5:8 says, for you were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. Now, the light represents our beliefs, our behavior, our attitudes, our manner of life. Light represents the truth of God's word. It represents our testimony. And this light should be what's visible for all people to see. We cannot hide our beliefs. We cannot hide behind our behavior. We cannot hide behind our attitudes, our manner of life, the teaching of God's word. We can't hide behind truth. You and I are called to put that up on a candlestick, is what the visual depiction is here. We're to put it up so all people can see. Why? Because we are to be influencing all those around us with our beliefs, with the truth, with our behavior, with our attitudes. As we are lights, guess what? We have eyes on us. Think about that. Sometimes we don't like the pressure that people are constantly watching us, but as light, eyes are drawn to you. And if you'll act like a light, like Jesus has called you, and if I act like a light, then guess what? People are going to look to us, and we're going to be naturally influencing them. Sometimes we minimize our ability to work for God, to minister. And sometimes we think if I'm not, going and knocking on doors or serving in this Sunday school class or doing this very specific thing, we minimize our influence. And Jesus says, look, you're the light of the world. And if you'll let your light shine, you're going to be influencing people all the time. If you will follow me and you will surrender to me and you'll not be ashamed of me, then in your workplace, people are going to know about me. You're going to be a light. You're going to represent me, and that's going to be influencing other people, and it's going to cause them to ask questions. It's going to cause them to wonder why you're able to deal with that situation, why you have hope. Think about that. This world, people ask me often, how would you describe the younger generation? I say two things that come quickly to mind. Sponges, they're soaking up everything around them, and then hopelessness. So many of them have been taught from kindergarten all the way up. You're here by natural processes. There's no purpose to life. There is no God. There's no creator. So just do the best you can here. And when you die, that's it. Well, that breeds hopelessness. And so when you see a person with hope, it's contagious. People want that hope that you have. And so that is you as a light, and people will be drawn to it. Do not minimize what you're doing. As long as you are being a light, as long as you're trying to live out God's word, you're trying to share your beliefs, you're not ashamed of who you are, you're not ashamed of who you're following, you try to be ethical, you try to be a man or a woman of integrity, that will be seen, and that is ministry. That is vocational ministry. You're serving Jesus where he's put you, within your workplace, within your community, within the ball team, within the class, wherever it's at. Notice he says here, it's interesting. He says, hey, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel. He says the city, what does that represent? That's a church. That's a Bible study group. That's a campus ministry. That's your Sunday school class. It's wherever you put a group of believers together who are willing to let their light shine. You can't hide it. There's strength. You think about when maybe you have a dim light and it's very dark outside, and somebody else brings a flashlight over and another flashlight. And then you have plenty of light. You can see what you're doing. You have high beams and low beams on your car. You can see decently with your low beams, but man, turn on the high beams and you can see really good. That's the church on high beam. That's you with multiple other people who are shining their light. And so when you can find people in class, dorm, in your workplace who share beliefs the same as you, and you both can shine, guess what? That's a bright light that people cannot miss. There's nothing more frustrating than needing a flashlight and either it doesn't work, batteries are dead, it's very dim and you can't see anything, or it flashes on and off. And so we have to relate that to our own lives. Is our light working? Or are we covering it up? Essentially is what he says. He says you don't have a light and cover it with a bushel. You may, in our houses, we may put lampshades on them to dim it a little bit, but the purpose of a light is not to cover it where you can't even see it. That makes no sense. And so why a Christian would not be shining as a light just makes no sense. And then if it's very dim, it's not going to have the impact that it could have. But yet many times our light is dim because we're fearful of what other people will think. We feel we're alone. We're the only ones. We're scared to stand up for what's right. We're scared to share truth. We're scared to speak up. We're scared to share the gospel because of fear, because of intimidation, and whatever the case may be. Or we go on and off. We're not consistent in our life. You see, what we don't do with the light is covered up. It defeats the purpose. The real purpose of light is to provide light to all those around so that they can see clearly. You see, this world spreads lies. All the content that goes out, there's so many lies and so much error that's in it. And you and I have the truth. That is the light. And you and I are to give that truth so people can see and understand clearly. They can understand what a lie is, and they can understand what truth is. You see, we are light that spreads and affects all those within its reach. Again, Jesus focuses in on us not serving our purpose as lights. In what ways can we hide our light? And what will that do for others that are around us? You and I can hide our light by not even going out into the world, by covering it up, staying within the house, staying within the church, and not going outside of the doors to where the world is at. You and I cannot be outspoken about our beliefs. We cannot say that we're a follower of Jesus Christ. We would pattern ourselves after the world just to try to fit in. These are all ways that you and I can hide our light. We can feel ashamed, whatever the case is. But the purpose here for your light is to give light to all those that are around you. That's all those that are in the house. And he says this, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. And watch this, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. As you let your light shine, people are going to see something in you or something about you. They're going to see your good works. And as a result, they're going to realize, hey, there's something different about him or her. And your life influence, your life ministry is going to lead people to do what? To glorify God, which is in heaven. You see, if you'll be willing to shine your light, you'll be willing to follow Jesus Christ unashamedly in today's world, your light will be bright. And as your light is bright, guess what? You attract other believers who have their light. And when you get a big light, you get a normal light with a dim light, it's going to help that dim light brighten up. When you get somebody who's in and out, guess what? You're going to give them encouragement and strength to keep their light on. And as multiple of you are together within that vocation, within the community, within the ball team, wherever it's at, it's a city that is set on a hill. And guess what? Jesus said it cannot be hid. The influence of that light cannot be diminished. It cannot be taken away. So I ask you, and I ask myself, are you letting your light shine today? Thank you for taking the time to listen. If this podcast has been helpful to you, please share it with a friend or subscribe to stay up to date on the latest episodes. You can connect with Collegians for Christ online for more information and resources at cfccampusministry.com.